I'm supposed to be his example. But I spoke with him a few days ago and he said to me about this egg thing. He said, Dad, he's a cheat. Okay, and we're promoting the fight. And these people have me under a great deal of pressure. I'm Great Britain. That's who we are. I don't care what they're doing. We have to bring them into a straight line. Because where this country is going with this behavior, the Warriors.
The upcoming fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn on April 26th, 2025 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London has brought back an old family rivalry from the 1990s. Chris Eubank has raised serious concerns about the fight, worrying about weight differences and the safety of the fighters.
Oh mate, that'd be legendary. That'd be legendary. I'd love that.
We know that your dad has had two very, very famous fights in the 90s with Chris Sr. You're, 3 or 4 weight divisions away from Chris Eubank Jr. at the moment, but you are 19 and you will continue to grow and you will continue to put weight on. What chance of you fighting Chris Eubank Jr. at some point in the future?
Oh mate, that'd be legendary. That'd be legendary. I'd love that. I'd love that. But there's so many obstacles I've got to get first before we can even consider that. Yeah. So far it's just a fantasy for the British public. But who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
In the early 1990s, British boxing was thrilled by the intense rivalry between Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn. Their different styles and personalities led to 2 legendary fights. One in 1990, where Eubank Sr. won by TKO in the 9th round, and a rematch in 1993 that ended in a draw. These fights became iconic and set the stage for their sons to continue the rivalry. The idea of a fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn has been building for years, driven by their fathers' famous battles. The fight was first planned for October 2022, but was cancelled after Benn tested positive for a banned substance that boosts testosterone. Benn blamed the result on eating too many eggs, a claim that caused controversy and doubt. Despite this, the UK anti-doping agency later cleared him, allowing the fight to be rescheduled.
It's a mismatch. It's an entertaining matchup.
Why is it a mismatch?
Because of ability, because of weight classes. Chris Jr. is a middleweight and a super middleweight. He's naturally a super middleweight. So, he's having to starve himself to come down and, with all the catch weights and all of this stuff, it's a mismatch. He is operated at world level. He's been in with the likes of George Groves and, the list goes on. It's a mismatch in ability and weight class.
How is your relationship with your dad now?
We're in a weird, we're in a strange place in our lives in the moment. It's very hard to kind of, go through an entire career being with your old man and then to not have him around anymore in terms of the boxing side of things. But I just felt that that's what I needed. I felt like I wanted to, and I would say this to him as well. I was like, listen, I'm going to write a book one day. The book can't be everything that my dad said I should do. I did. I've got to find out on my own. I've got to make my own choices. I've got to write my own future.
Chris Eubank Sr. has strongly criticized the fight, worrying about how it's being organized and the risks involved. His main concern is the weight limit, as the fight is set at 157 pounds, forcing Eubank Jr. to drop 3 pounds below his usual middleweight limit. He has warned about the dangers of cutting weight, stressing how it strains the body and increases the risk of injury. He has strongly criticized the promoters, accusing them of caring more about money than fighter safety. In a blunt interview, Eubank Sr. said, "You tried to murder my boys. I'm coming for you." His concerns are serious. Cutting weight can cause severe dehydration and weaken a fighter, putting their health at risk. Eubank Sr. insists the fight breaks the rules and believes it shouldn't happen under these conditions.
For 8 pounds? You better watch out, dreadlocks. You better watch out, because we are come for you. Sorry, that's my mother's tongue again. It comes through. You'd better watch out because we're not playing. We're real and we are a terror. And The procedure will be parliamentary. Rastafari.
Eubank Sr. has been outspoken in his opposition to the fight between his son, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, the son of his former rival, Nigel Benn. His biggest concern is the agreed catch weight of 157 pounds, which he believes is a serious health risk for his son. Eubank Sr. has warned that cutting below 160 pounds at the age of 33 could put Chris Jr.'s life in danger, emphasizing the well-known risks of extreme weight cuts in boxing. In a direct appeal, he urged both Conor and Nigel Benn to reconsider the fight, stressing the potential dangers involved. He even went as far as offering to cover a financial penalty to cancel the bout, but Nigel Benn remained firm that the fight should go ahead as planned. Beyond the weight concerns, Eubank Sr. has also criticized the promoters, accusing them of prioritizing financial gain over fighter safety. He has been highly vocal about what he sees as the irresponsibility of arranging a fight under such potentially dangerous conditions.
For the Metro newspaper, and in that interview, Conor walked in, and I said to Conor, and I was saying to Nigel, please, don't do this. You know what it is to, my son is 33. For him to drop 3 pounds beneath 160 puts his life in danger. And Nigel said, sorry, if he doesn't take the fight, if he's above that, then he's going to have to pay a forfeit of £300,000. And I said, well, I'm very happy to pay that. So please, stand down. I was speaking to both of them, and Nigel said no, he's not standing down. He said he signed a contract, he's a grown man. So I said, Nigel, please, my king, please, don't do this.
Beyond his concerns about the fight's logistics, Eubank Sr. has suggested alternative paths for both fighters. He believes Conor Benn should stay in his natural weight class of 147 pounds and focus on fighting top welterweight champions instead of moving up to face Eubank Jr. Eubank Sr. has also pointed out another potential matchup, Benn facing his nephew, Harlem Eubank, who competes at welterweight and has recently called Benn out. This has added another layer of intrigue to the situation, bringing family dynamics within the Eubank camp into the spotlight.
My concern for Eubank is the amount of weight this boy's got to cut to come down to, I think the fight's made at 160 pounds, is that right? Right. So he's got to come down from 100, from whatever his walking round weight is. Let's say he walks around at 180 pounds when he's out of training. That's like 20 pound weight difference, right? That he's got to lose. It's not safe. It's not. He can't possibly be at his physically strongest. He can't. And he's really putting himself on the line, right? Because when your weight weakened, I know I've been weight drained in fights previously, so I'm speaking from a point of reference. When you're weight drained, it doesn't matter what you eat on the day, it doesn't make you stronger.
As the fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn approaches, the controversy surrounding it continues to grow. With concerns over weight, safety, and promoter intentions, this bout has become more than just a fight. It's a clash of legacies, family rivalries, and personal stakes. Whether it lives up to the hype or ends in controversy, one thing is certain: the world will be watching. For more updates, breakdowns, and exclusive boxing content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.